Before we get into the soil science and real results, do me a quick favor right now. Subscribe to Evergreen Garden, leave a comment saying where you garden from, and share this with someone who's serious about building living soil. This channel is about long-term soil health, not shortcuts, and today's lesson can permanently change how alive your soil becomes if you apply it correctly. Most gardeners want more earthworms, but they keep trying to add worms instead of creating conditions where worms multiply on their own. Earthworms don't move into soil because of magic products. They move in because the soil becomes a reliable food system. When you understand what actually attracts and sustains worm populations, you stop buying worms and start farming them naturally, even in ponds, raised beds, and garden edges that stay moist year-round. What I'm about to explain works especially well in living soil ponds, swales, water harvesting pits, banana circles, and moist garden basins where organic matter breaks down slowly. You only need to apply it once and the soil biology does the rest. Why earthworms only dominate soil that feeds microbes first? Earthworms are not interested in raw dirt. They are interested in microbial life. Their primary food source is not leaves, manure, or compost by itself. Their real food is bacteria and fungi that are actively breaking organic matter down. If your soil does not have an explosion of microbial activity, worms will not stay, no matter how wet the soil is. This is why, many gardeners fail when they just dump kitchen scraps or manure into ponds and expect worms to appear. Without the right balance of carbon, nitrogen, and fungal stimulation, the material either rots anaerobically or dries out, and honestly, neither of those conditions supports worm reproduction. The real secret, if you ask me, is feeding the microbes in a way that stays stable, moist, and oxygen-friendly for months, not just days. Here's the one sprinkle that, triggers a worm population boom. The most reliable single amendment you can sprinkle to trigger massive earthworm activity is a blend dominated by finely broken carbon, mild nitrogen, and fungal food, with leaf mold as the backbone. Now, leaf mold is decomposed leaves, not composted fast but broken down slowly by fungi. It is truly worm gold. When leaf mold is combined with just a small amount of nitrogen and, a microbial stimulant, the soil becomes a long-term buffet. Worms move in, reproduce, and stay because the food system keeps renewing itself underground. A practical ratio that works extremely well is 10 parts leaf mold, 1 part well-aged manure or worm castings, and 1 part finely ground plant material, such as dried weeds, comfrey leaves, banana leaves, or grass that has fully dried and been crushed by hand. This mix should feel light, crumbly, and smell earthy, never sharp or sour. How to apply it correctly in a living soil pond. In a living soil pond or water harvesting basin, timing and placement matter more than quantity. You are not feeding the surface, you are feeding the top biological layer of soil. So you want to get the most out of your leaf mold mix? Lightly sprinkle the mix across the moist soil surface at a rate of roughly 1 small handful per square foot. Don't dig it in and definitely don't bury it deep. Just let moisture pull it downward naturally. If your pond holds seasonal water, go ahead and apply it right after the water recedes and the soil is still damp but not flooded. If the area stays moist all year round, it's best to apply it just once at the beginning of a warm season. Within about 2 to 3 weeks, you'll notice microbial activity starts to increase. Then, within 1 to 2 months, worm numbers really multiply. And within a full season, the soil structure changes completely, becoming darker, softer, and absolutely full of castings. Now, you might be wondering why you only need to apply it once. Well, leaf mold breaks down slowly. Unlike compost or manure, it doesn't burn out quickly. The fungal network feeding on leaf mold actually becomes permanent as long as moisture remains. And of course, earthworms follow fungi. Once established, worms continuously pull surface organic matter down, improving aeration and nutrient cycling without further input. This is why repeated applications are unnecessary. Over-application can actually reduce oxygen levels and slow worm movement. One correct application sets the system in motion and, well, nature maintains it. What happens underground after the sprinkle? Within days, bacteria begin colonizing the nitrogen sources. Fungi expand through the leaf mold particles. Protozoa and nematodes arrive to feed on bacteria. Earthworms sense the microbial bloom through moisture gradients and chemical signals and migrate toward it. Once worms begin feeding, they create channels that increase oxygen penetration. Their castings inoculate deeper soil layers with beneficial microbes. This creates a vertical living system where roots, microbes, and worms interact constantly. In ponds, this also improves water infiltration and prevents stagnation. The soil becomes sponge-like instead of compacted. In a banana circle with constant organic input and moisture, applying this mix once at the start of the rainy season can turn dead soil into worm-rich soil within about 3 months. Gardeners often report seeing worms on the surface at night without ever introducing them. In raised beds near water tanks or drainage areas, sprinkling the mix along the moist edge creates a worm corridor that spreads into surrounding beds over time. In orchard basins, applying it around the drip line leads to deeper root growth and, a really visible improvement in tree vigor within a single season. Using fresh manure is honestly one of the biggest errors. Fresh manure heats, releases ammonia, and drives worms away. Always use aged material that smells earthy. Allowing the soil to dry out completely after application will, stall microbial activity. Moisture consistency is absolutely critical for the first month. Mixing in wood chips instead of leaf mold slows the process too much. Wood chips break down over years, not months, and are better used as surface mulch after worms are established. Once worms take over, maintenance becomes simple. Just add thin layers of organic mulch like leaves, straw, or chopped weeds on the surface as they appear naturally. Then let worms pull material down themselves. Avoid disturbing the soil. Tilling breaks fungal networks and collapses worm tunnels. Living soil really thrives when left intact. If the soil ever smells sour or anaerobic, it's important to reduce organic inputs temporarily and, improve drainage. Earthworms are not just soil residents. Honestly, they are engineers. They improve nutrient availability, water retention, root penetration, and even disease resistance. A worm-dominated soil, well, it requires fewer inputs, fewer fertilizers, and less labor over time. This is really the foundation of true evergreen gardening. We're talking about systems that improve year after year instead of just wearing out. If this guide helped you, subscribe to Evergreen Garden right now, share this with a fellow gardener, and, drop a comment telling me what kind of soil or pond system you're working with. Your soil can become alive for decades from a single smart decision.